Ooh, I've just been listening to one of my favorite singers. Her name is Alicia Keys. You might actually know her. Um, and I just really love this woman. She's got an amazing voice. I love all the things she stands for and all the things that, you know, she truly moved herself through, from her young career all the way up to today. I find, her incredibly inspiring, and she's definitely, um, it's actually interesting because she was always, one of my sort of pop idols when I was a young teenager. And she's definitely stayed on that field in all these years. And it's actually a bit of a coincidence because the thing that I'm coming to talk to you about, does somewhat relate to her and to the things that, she led herself through. And so, um, I guess what I want to talk about really, and just getting straight to the point, is these past few weeks and months I've really been, facing this scenario where it's like it's almost that, but it's not that kind of vibe, right? It's like I'm nearly, I'm nearly feeling like this could be the one, but it's actually not. I nearly feel like this, would be the behavior that I want to embody, but it's not quite that yet. Or I nearly feel like, this could be, potential client, but actually we're not fully aligned. And it's so interesting because it's really, brought something up in me that I did not expect. And I feel like this is a piece that I've led myself through so many times, right? And very often, the way that I would relate with this is I would go limp on the situation. I would just let it be there. Like, let's not move it too much. Like, let's just tolerate it to just be in the space. And I mean, I don't really have to take a decision about this right now. I can always do it in the future. Um, and, what else did I do? Things that I've done in the past, like, oh, let's just hold on to this for a minute because, maybe something is going to come through, but I can't see it yet. So I'm just going to let it sit in the room until something better matching comes up. So that's one of the ways. Other things that I've done around this, is obviously, like not to go frantic about it. And sometimes I would go frantic about it. And then there was a period when I sometimes do go completely frantic about it. Like when people are messaging me on, and they're in my inbox when they shouldn't be there, it's like it causes this trigger zone inside me. And I really feel like, wait, what is actually occurring here? Like, I don't actually have to tolerate this. I don't have to stay there. I don't have to, like get in this sticky vibe where, my energy is basically not being clear. And the actual effect on this, and this is something that I've noticed, is that, sometimes we push things a little bit to the side because we don't actually want to deal with them right away. And sometimes that can come from an empowered place. But sometimes there's like something else lingering. And I wonder if you can relate with this and if this has happened to you, where and you feel like, wait, there's a situation here that I'm just going to tolerate to be there because there's like this sensation that maybe I'm going to be afraid that I'm actually going to lose out or I'm going to miss out. So I'm just going to allow it to be there, even though it's not quite close, but I'm just like finding all these sweet ways of talking myself into the fact that maybe I don't have to actually do anything about it. And all the while that can be, a nice strategy, what I found, it really creates, it actually clogs our energetic system to receive what we really desire. Because when we're actually tolerating something in our field that isn't, it's not that, it's not even the fact that it's not fully aligned. It's that we actually feel deep down inside, this is definitely not what I would have as my future self. This is definitely not something that I would tolerate, that I would accept, if I knew that there was a better way. And often this, used to come up with money as well, like for me. And I love talking about money. I love to talk about the relationship with money because I feel like the relationship with money for me has become so crystal clear. It's like, oh my goodness, these are all the patterns, these are all the belief systems, these are all the feelings that I'm having, these are all the like the bodily sensations. And very often when I'm explaining something about money, like women feel like, oh my gosh, like the way you talked about money, I actually can relate this one situation that has nothing to do with money, but actually the energetics is very much, on a similar scale. And that is because money is actually, an extension of the masculine energy in the universe. So, the way we relate with this, universal masculine is really interesting. And I feel like, when I talk about, the universal masculine as, the joker of money, it also relates to all the pieces that are actually coming in that could actually fully support us on our, on our way to our dreams and, who we are becoming, who we are embodying. And so one of the the huge pieces that I've understood is that every time I was holding on to money, or I was holding or hoarding or trying to hold on to this amount, or I would try to trade for something to be to be acceptable, even though it wasn't really what I wanted in the in the last, like, as the last resort. For example, you go into this shop and you see a dress and the dress is just a little bit over your price range, right? And the thing is, like, you could totally go for it. You could totally go get that dress. You could buy it. It would probably be a stretch. It would be this, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm just gonna get it, And you really feel the vibes of actually wanting to buy this dress. And you know that it's kind of what you want. It's not, like, there's a couple of things that are not quite fitting, but you've been, visualizing this dress, you've been seeing it in your dreams, you've been having visions about it, and this is like the best match that you found so far. So you're going to go and jump into it, you're going to invest in it, you're going to get it, you're going to buy it. And the truth is, whenever we're, coming at, at something from that perspective of, oh, this is the best match I found so far, it's not quite the thing that I really wanted, but I'm just going to get this because this feels like the, it's so close, right? It's like this instant validation kind of vibe, right? And so you're going to get that dress, you're going to, take it home, and, it's going to basically hang in your wardrobe because you figure out actually it doesn't really fit. It is really beautiful though, and, it's nice to it's just going to sit in your wardrobe for a couple of weeks, and, you might even consider maybe getting, somebody to help you stitch it up a little bit, or to make it shorter, or to like add something to it. But that's going to cost money, so it's going to cost energy, right? So you're not going to do it, which ends you actually not getting to wear that dress at all for ages, right? And you've actually invested your energy into it. You've invested your money into that. It was a bit of a stretch as well. So it's now causing this frantic reaction in your system because you're like, oh my gosh, but this bill is coming out, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to pay for that, right? And so it then becomes this cloudy distraction in your field, right? And the thing is, you might even like put it in the closet, close the closet, and it's in there, and you're just gonna like sort of skip over it. Honestly, like, hasn't this happened to you before, right? When you're gonna get something that's almost the thing you really wanted, it's not it though, and you're still gonna get it. You're still gonna invest your energy into it because who knows? There's a possibility that maybe at some point you're gonna be able to wear it. And I feel like we do this in so many ways. And I trapped myself doing this with people. I trapped myself doing this with my own behavior. I trapped doing this with other people's behavior, where I was, kind of like, this is weird. This doesn't feel quite like it, but it's okay. I'm just going to leave it in the closet and, think about it some other time. But my energy had already been invested into that. And Oh my gosh. Like the person we become when we do these things, there's actually a reason why we do it, of course. The reason is that, we're somewhat conditioned to, to avoid conflict, right? I'm reading this amazing book called The Female Brain at the moment, and I'm just mind blown at the information that's in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have to talk to my women about this. This is so good, right? Like when we really, like we've been conditioned so well, and it's actually a lot of it is due to our hormones and the whole way that we evolve through our lifetime, from birth, through the baby years, through the childhood years, through the teenage years, all the way into adulthood, right? And so there's this very innate sense where we feel that if we actually really step up and we really step in to our dream, we actually really own that, no, this is not what we want, right? It's going to somehow make us, into a bad person or a negative person, right? And so truly, what we really should do in that moment that we've got the dress is we should take the dress and take it back to the shop and ask for a refund, right? And we know this, but we're not gonna dare to do it because we don't want to disappoint the shopkeeper. We don't want to disappoint, that friend who maybe, tried to barter us into it. Or we don't want to, even disappoint ourselves because we don't really want to face the fact that we've accepted something that we didn't really want. We've even invested our energy into it, which doesn't even feel aligned, right? It's this like kind of half in, kind of half out. I'm just going to do this because I can't see what the potential is that is going to come through. And so, yeah. So one of the things that was, coming through for me as, I was going through a situation today where I actually had to let go of, a person in that sense. And it was so hard, I really gave myself a few days to sit through this because there was this part of me where I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't, I have to give this person a chance. I have to give them, more space. I have to give them, and it's not like I didn't have, I had not done it. It's just that, what I was actually receiving was this, just put it straight, this dress that didn't quite feel the way that I desired to feel, right? And so this behavior that I was receiving from this person was, on a very similar scale. And so I was really sitting with myself on this, and I was like, okay, so if I actually tolerate this person to, first of all, treat me in this way, then that means that I actually set the standard where this is acceptable, where I actually will, receive this. And it's not even that it was a bad thing. It's just that it was a mismatch in, energies and in priorities and in the way that we handle ourselves in an empowered way. So this person, the way they were responding to me, they were giving me all the red flags that they're actually not willing to fully take responsibility for their complete desires and for what they really want and for what they're really available for. And, this isn't a person who was evil in any way. They weren't a bad person. At all, it's actually in terms of the level where this person was at, it's like, oh my gosh, they were such a high vibe, so aligned on so many levels, but this one thing was a real deal breaker for me. And it takes a whole spin for us to really go around and really get to meet ourselves and to feel and to find, okay, so what is it that I'm really available for actually? What is it that I'm willing to tolerate? And what is it, can I walk away without this being a whole deal, right? And, remembering again, a situation that I actually had with my mother when we had to, a cat passed away and we still had all this, cat food at home, and she was feeling so upset about having to take this back into the shop, and I know this obviously it wasn't just about taking this back to the shop, but it's when we got there, she was I was like, Mom, just let me handle this, right? She was basically getting so emotional about the fact that, you know, like now she doesn't know how to do, like what to do about it. And, you know, like she was creating this whole story in her mind on how, yeah, she was just raveling up in all these emotions about, you know, about, it really like where it was stemming from is that she didn't feel fully worthy of just asking for a refund, right? Like she had to make a whole scene out of it in order to allow herself to receive, you know, this money back. And, you know, for me, it was just like a done deal. It's like, of course, like, you know, it's still good. We still have the, you know, the receipts. What's, you know, there's no issue here, right? And so I feel like sometimes we can go into this dramatic frenzy of thinking that, you know, like letting go of this one person or speaking our truth or asking for our energy to like to retrieve our energy, because truly that's what we're doing. We're just retrieving our energy and we're retrieving it back into our boats, and we're trusting that this other person is going to be okay. That, you know, this other person is going to have a way to figure out, you know, what they're available for, what they're not available for, that is going to provide whatever it is that it needs to provide for them. And most of the time, what we're totally missing out here is that they're, you know, us actually taking out this lost energy, you know, back into our own field, right? Because we know it's not like it's lost in the sense where we know that this is not going to lead anywhere, right? That we can't actually help this person, or we can't actually move on and find deep intimacy with this person because, you know, there's been some different layouts that were important for us. It's like when we actually retrieve our energy and we call it back into our own field, we call it back into our system, into our body, into our life, what it creates, it actually creates space. So instead of having your energy leaking into this person, into this object that you got, or into this client, or into this thing, or into this potential that possibly could be, what you're doing when you're retrieving this energy is you're actually doing yourself a favor, but you're also doing this other person a favor, right? And so it's like, instead of building this whole story around, oh my gosh, like what if I'm going to hurt this person, disappoint this person, what if they, you know, lash out on me, what if, right? What if we actually saw that by taking our energy back and by, you know, setting up our standards, by claiming what we desire, right? Even though we don't know how that desire is going to come through yet, and that's where the power and the magic really lies, that we're actually allowing ourselves to receive what we really want, and we're allowing this other person to receive what they need in this moment, right? So it's actually the opposite. It's not a selfish thing to do to, you know, to set a new standard. It's actually the opposite. It's almost like you're doing this person a favor because you're allowing them to fly free. You're allowing them to use their energy and that clarity in that moment, right? To take their energy to where it is that they need, and to begin attracting the things that are really meant for them in that moment. And, you know, just like with this cat food example, like, you know, what if actually there was some pieces, you know, they were like limited editions, like maybe, you know, there's going to be a pet owner who's going to be so happy to find that this food is actually still available, right, for their cat. So it's just little things where sometimes we don't see beyond because we're so attached to, oh my gosh, what is that going to mean about me if I let this person go, if I let this object go, if I make this new statement, if I change my mind, if I, you know, rearrange my energy in such a way that it actually is fueling and empowering and, you know, moving me along in the direction, right? So whether that's a client that you feel like a bit, it's kind of aligned, but I'm seeing the potential, however, it's not happening, like they haven't actually, you know, they haven't actually invested their energy into this container. So what are you doing there? Are you trying to coach them and trying to help them to make the decision? No, like let them make their decision, right? And it takes a lot of courage to do that, because very often when we're having to do this decision, it's not when we have already found the next best thing. It's actually that we haven't yet found that next best thing. We don't yet know how this other person is going to come through. We don't yet see where this could lead us. We don't even see where this could take the relationship, right? Like, what if making your assessment and your standard and setting your boundary about this one specific thing that you desire, knowing that you can receive it, because, you know, if you're desiring it deeply and completely, you're meant to receive it, that this person might not actually step up their game and really, you know, come in stronger than before. And it's actually going to create, you know, a better and bolder relationship between you two, right? And so, gosh, this was such a huge, like, learning curve for me, you know. It's been a huge learning curve for me on so many levels, right? And I've understood this pattern with money that I've had before, you know. When I was a dancer, sometimes, you know, the money was a bit short, and sometimes I would see something, it's like, okay, it's not quite the costume, but I actually need it, which is a different story because it was an urgency or an emergency thing. But sometimes I also would buy things because I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of cute and it's like discounted, so they're giving me this extra price, and it's like, I can't really say no to this, and, you know, you're gonna get it, and it's like gonna be sitting in your wardrobe for what? You know, to give the dust mites something to do, right? It's like, what it creates as well, I feel, is it actually opens our gateways. It opens our gateways to receive what we really, really desire. And the truth is, it gives us so much space and such a peace of mind when we've decided, right? It's like when you decide that I'm actually not going to be, you know, continuing this relationship with this person in this setting. I'm not going to invest my energy, you know, into this client relationships ever, you know, unless they're ready to step up their game. It creates so much space in your energy because you're no longer in this what if situation where you're like, no, you're crystal clear, you're firm, you're learning something new, you're becoming a new person with that decision. And so, yeah, this is something that I really had to go through. And of course, there was some grieving processes, you know, going on inside me. But it's like I knew at the core, I could trust that the way that I was feeling with this person is not how I desire to feel in the long term. And so, you know, trusting as well that I don't have to hold on to this person. I don't have to build this scarcity projection of the future, you know. This is not how I make decisions. Like, my decisions are not going to be made on that level, right? Because I know that if I'm making my decisions on that level, then, you know, it's basically setting me up, you know, for leaking my energy constantly and continuously. And it's just simply not in alignment with where I'm going. And for sure, it's not going to be in alignment for where this other person is going, because I can deeply trust that if it's not in alignment for me, it cannot be in alignment for the other person. And so, yeah, I hope this was inspiring. Let me know if you have any questions around this. Like, did you face anything like this before and you didn't quite know what to do? Like, what were the outcomes? Like, do you see a pattern here? You know, what is it that is usually keeping you in the game for a little too long? What is it that usually keeps you there, right? And, you know, I could go on and on into this, you know, with more of a psychological twist on this, and, you know, what is it that actually keeps us in there. Very often it's a masculine energy, or more the wounded masculine energy, so that kind of like feeds into this hope that possibly maybe, right? And that the problem with hope and with the possibly maybe is that it basically creates a gap between where you are right now and, you know, with the alignment of really knowing that you can walk inside your dream, into your dream in this moment, right? So when you're creating hope, it basically creates this void, this empty space that it seems like it's never going to be filled up, right? It creates this constant drain of your energy, and it's like your life force, it keeps leaking out, and it keeps like leaking out on different levels as well. And when that is happening, then it's going to be very difficult for you to really become, it's not that it's going to be difficult, it's like, I don't want to get you into this, you know, I need to do this in order to, but yeah, just monitor how it makes you feel. Monitor, you know, the outcome of how this feeling is actually going to be drawing in specific things into your life. And that is the crystal clear solution for you, right? Like, when you know how this is making you feel in the long term and what this is actually causing, you know, in the long term, then that should really make you like jump and like, you know, make the decision, like step up your game, you know, gain the confidence to speak your mind, and, you know, to learn all the tools to, you know, effectively communicate the way that you feel without, you know, tugging on the other person's energy. And, you know, when without letting it come to a point where you actually have to get angry, or you have to, you know, get super upset, or you have to like completely, you know, like run away or like ghost the person because you can't actually confront your own feelings of, you know, fear of feeling this, you know, that you're going to be disappointing or like shifting another person's negative emotions. Like, yeah, like that's really going to be bringing up the piece for you where, okay, there's growth to go through here. There's something to connect with, maybe, that you haven't connected with yet, right? And who is this person that, who you are becoming, you know, on your journey towards your dreams, where you trust that what is coming your way will come, and that the clearer your space is, the easier it is for these things to come through. So, sending you so much love. I hope this was inspiring, you know, mind stirring, heart stirring, womb stirring, all the things. And I shall talk to you soon.